So what's your name?
Chaka, Dorsine,
Chaka Dorsine. How old are you?
44.
44. What do you do, Chaka?
I am a soul wellness life coach.
Oh, okay. All right, so having that experience and that background, with everything going on today, how do you feel? How you feel about everything going on today? COVID, everything with the government and the world in general.
Well,
It's your time to speak your piece.
yeah. Oh, wait. Oh, sorry, y'all. I'm working out. He caught me.
That's okay.
And I'm nosy because I'm trying to figure out what he's doing out here with this camera. What you doing out here? Well, personally, about COVID, I've taken a positive outlook on it. While many people have been impacted negatively, if you really look at I'm a Christian, so what God is doing is he's really given us time to bring what makes this country run, which is family, back together. And if you really look into it, becoming closer, being within close proximity, having to stay amongst each other.
That's true.
If you pay attention, it gives you an opportunity and time, one, to spend more time with your family, spend more time with your kids. If you are not in a state of fear and anxiety, sit back and take time to really reflect on what is the point and purpose of this time where he's literally shut the earth down. So I've taken a positive outlook. I'm all about family, so I really, honed in on, what God wants me to do for my family, my children, praying into their future, their destiny. And so I've just taken advantage of it. Of course, things are going on, but if you focus on that, you'll live in a state of fear and anxiety and stress.
Exactly.
And those are three things that the enemy uses to keep us in a state of poverty and the mindset that we are.
Exactly. And also that you also find time to find yourself and find out exactly who you are, right? Right?
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
Yes. Well, I'm a life coach, so that's what I teach people to
Right.
do, to really focusing on who they are. But for people who don't normally do that, yeah, it's a good time. It's a perfect time to really focus on, you have the time, So when you're at work thinking, I wish I had time for a vacation, I wish I had time for this and that and the other, now you have time to really sit and reflect and also assess those things that you've been using to be fillers. A lot of people use work as a filler. They use work as an excuse not to build relationships. They work and they don't spend time with their spouse. They work and say things to their children like, well, I'm doing this for you, making them feel guilty about the fact that they're working. So it really gives you time. Right? It is big to reflect on what is important right now. What is most important to you? How do you become a better you? Healing for your mind, heal your body, heal your soul.
What's your advice for that?
It's a good time. The first thing is, the truth will set you free. The only way that you can impact your life is to look at yourself, to stand flat-foot in the mirror and reflect on your accomplishments, your goals, and a lot of times your relationships, especially with those close around you. I'm not talking about your external relationships, the superficial relationships. I'm talking about authentic relationships that you have with people and taking the time. So it starts with truth, telling yourself the truth, assessing the truth, asking people around you whether you want to hear it or not. They've been telling you.
And that's the hard part, right?
Yeah, they've been telling you, but we don't want to hear it.
Yeah, no one wants,
we want to go to the people who's going to pat us on our back. So any type of healing and freedom starts with truth and self-reflection, because at the end of the day, you can't control anyone around you.
Exactly.
The only thing you can control is yourself.
Exactly.
My mentor, as much as I hate for him to say it, he always tells me, Chaka, your life is the way it is because of what you are doing. So all the responsibility of my life progressing or being stagnated are my decisions.
All right. We have school. We have a big concern of mine is we have kids going back to school wearing masks. They're trying to have them do social distancing. And all type of crazy regulation for children.
Yes.
I'm
an educator.
Who don't really have an opportunity to understand it. They can't comprehend what's going on. And mentally, I feel like that's a terrible idea for what they have planned in place. How do you feel about that?
I have mixed feelings about it. I am an educator.
Right.
I work at Two Rivers Charter School in Washington, D.C. I've worked in PG County all my life. I just moved back to the area. I've been gone, Tennessee, Kingsport, a very rural town, for 10 years.
Okay.
Learned a lot there. But as far as education is concerned, I have mixed feelings. I know the children are struggling, and even parents especially, are struggling to homeschool and take care of their children. But again, if you really hone in on what's important, you can do it. If you really pray into what your kids need, it's really important, even if it's your time. And our patience as parents, from a parent perspective, we don't have a lot of patience for our own children.
A lot of us. Yeah.
We can help other people's kids. We can talk to them appropriately. I won't get on my soapbox about that.
Please
I do parenting workshops.
Get on the soapbox. That's
because
what we
until we
need to
get
hear.
the family back together, y'all can talk about and look at TV and watch politics and give your opinion all you want to. But until we get our households correct, nothing's going to change.
Exactly.
Stop pointing fingers at everyone else. And this area is very narcissistic, superficial area where our people, we think they're better than, we think because we've accomplished certain type of wealth, that we've done something. But if the inside of your household is dysfunctional and the outside looks great and you have all that land, that acreage, those nice cars, but the inside is dysfunctional and your children are suffering and your household does not have peace, joy, and love, you're not successful.
There you go.
So that impacts school. Back to the question you were asking about school. I have mixed feelings because you have parents who are not patient. So the kids are actually suffering more at home. And school was their only safe place. School was the only place they were understood. School was the only place they had a voice.
And they had freedom to be themselves.
They were protected from the emotional and verbal abuse and some physical of their own households. So my heart is always pulling for those kids because those are the kids that I attract when I'm in school. The kids who are hurting and no one seems to see it. Or we overlook it.
But the fight for attention is just, they need some love, right?
That behavior
is
just an indicator of their heart.
Right.
So a lot of teachers get offended by that. I'm like, no, if you listen to what they're saying and how they behave, if they're bullying at school, they're being bullied at home. So it's just a reflection of their environment.
Yes.
But the environment, if you say that to a parent, they'll get offended.
Right.
Or they'll come to the meeting and act as if everything's okay when the kids already told you everything.
Right.
So, it's a catch-22. So my heart goes out to those children. But at the same time, we're talking about safety of all. When I get sick the most is when I go to school as an educator.
When I got sick most when I was going to work, being around all those people, to be honest.
Yeah. So it's like, do you risk the safety
there you go.
of a child and the adults in the building? Or can we be wise about what we do? So it's a catch-22. The numbers have not gone down. So for me personally, I just feel like we should do our best to develop a virtual program or be creative. We can do some outdoor spaces. I taught in Thailand for a couple weeks after tsunami, and we had outdoor child spaces. So they were outdoors, and the kids gathered, and we taught them. They didn't speak a lick of English, and I didn't speak a lick of their language, but it was universal. Math is universal, games are universal. And so, we have to get creative with what we do, but it takes a lot of planning.
And there's no reason why education can't be outside, right?
Oh, no. It should be.
Right.
I'm against the traditional education system, quite frankly. I'm against the way we went to school. Same thing. 4 walls, sit in a seat, teacher teach.
With 6-7 hours? Yeah.
And rote memory. That's not the real world. That is not the real world.
Because each individual is different, first of all.
We need to be teaching our kids about entrepreneurship, financial literacy, integrity, character, some of the things they've taken out of the school system and turned into a bunch of tests that statistically do not prove success in life. Don't let me get on my soapbox. I'm an educator.
No, please. This is why I'm doing this.
Okay.
This is why I'm doing this.
How can a child, parents, have over 100 teachers in the span of a lifetime, K through 12, and come out having no clue with who they're going to be in life? The education system has gone wrong.
Yes. I hope on that all
over 100 adults teaching your children over a span of a lifetime and come out of school having zero clue with who they're going to be in life, who they are.
And what they want to do.
And we're testing them. And so I just feel like we should be honing in on our students' skills, their gifts, who they are, which requires us to pay attention to them, and then develop some type of curriculum to hone them in that direction. They should know at least 3 careers they're interested in by the time they graduate. And we should have been able to expose them to those particular careers, whether it's visitors, internships, before they graduate
Right.
high school.
Exactly.
But we're so busy trying to teach them the Pythagorean theorem when their gifts and skills don't even need the Pythagorean
Right.
theorem.
Because everyone is
And
different.
I teach math, so I'm like, I'm teaching it because they tell me to teach it, but I'm also the teacher who throws the curriculum out the door, and I look at my kids and I pray and I say, what do you want me to teach them? Most teachers aren't like that.
And we need that. The education system needs that. It need people to actually care about the individual student for who they
You
are,
have
right?
to care about kids.
Because honestly, I'm okay at math, right? But math is not my strong suit. It's not. I didn't even care about math, so therefore I didn't take it as serious. I know, and I know I'm not the only person that does this. We'll wait for this truck. And I feel like naturally, as a person, you just when you have passion for something, when you care about something, you just take interest in it, and it becomes easy. Doing it is easy. It's not a problem. So when we try to teach our kids, philosophy and education and something they're not educated in, and something
that
they
you
don't
have
even
learned
need.
and are still learning
Right.
as an old adult,
Right.
trying to impose this on a young child
A young
and make them
child.
understand and comprehend,
Right.
instead of getting on that level or something real world. Like I do a lot of project based.
Mhm.
The school I just got hired at Two Rivers. I like this school
Okay.
because I didn't want to go back to the school system because of what I just said.
Mhm.
It's teachers who don't care, and you're boxed in with that curriculum, with the testing. Teachers are stressed because they're being measured by the success of their children. They've only known for 1 year.
That's terrible, right?
It's crazy. And so, I didn't want to go back to traditional education.
Right.
And I've always taught at alternative schools. So I'm used to the kids. And what has worked is consistency, love, and care.
There you go.
That had nothing to do with the subject, did it? No. When these kids know that you love them, that you're going to be there tomorrow.
They feel comfortable.
Yeah, because they've lived a lifetime of daddy saying I'm coming, he didn't come.
Mm-hmm.
Mommy saying I'm doing this, they didn't do it. So a lifetime of letdown, and a teacher who loves them, who's going to be consistent, they'll begin to open up, and then the subject becomes whatever it is.
Right.
So you may not like math, but because you like Miss D,
You're willing to
you learn to love math.
Right.
You're willing to pay
going on?
attention because of the respect and honor that you have for your teacher, because you know she loves you. You know it, and kids know. We live in a society where these kids are so discerning because they've been traumatized at such an early age. Their discernment is on 100. So you can have all the pedagogy you want, but if you don't have a heart for the kids, they know.
They know. They
so,
can sense it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but we give the teachers the Teacher of the Year award to the one who has the great pedagogy and can teach it well, but may not necessarily love kids.
Right. Okay. Right.
Or care.
Care what happens to them after.
Yeah, so that don't get on my soapbox. I'm very passionate about educating. I'm passionate about parenting. That's the big key. If we can figure out a way to get parents in school.
Parenting school would be awesome, right?
Yeah, I lay my head every night thinking about parenting school.
Oh yeah. For me,
but how
I
many
had-
parents do you think would
Okay.
take parenting school?
I think a lot would
How
take
many
it.
of you would take parenting school?
I think a lot would take it. I honestly, I think a lot of people know they need to work on themselves, but they just don't. They don't take the time to, or
Yeah,
they don't.
we're working.
Right. Working.
We're working.
You spend 8 hours a day, 2 hours to get into work, there and back, and by the time you get home, you still have time you want to spend with yourself. You have kids, and if you have a spouse, oh my God, all your time is gone.
Working. So that's why I really pray that people understand this pandemic, that some of the hours of spending working were not necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And they're only necessary if you're trying to live up to a standard
There
that you
you
may
go.
be trying to live above
There
your
you go.
means, which in this area can be very tempting
Yes.
to try to keep up with the Joneses. But to me, that's not as important as changing a generation.
Which is
Like,
already changing itself, but
changing your bloodline, changing, because we parent how we were parented. And if you never stop to go to parent school to heal yourself, you're going to parent the way you were parented, and many of us weren't parented well.
and for
Not
me,
saying that's bad
Right.
parents, but because people would take that offense to that. It's just sometimes there's a better, healthier way.
Oh yeah. Well, I can say that for me, I grew up in a certain type of way. I'm from the Virgin Islands, the Caribbean. So my parents, my mom especially, was super strict, and I'm pretty sure
Tough love.
you've heard stories
Yeah,
about that.
yeah.
So you know,
My husband's Haitian.
at first I found myself doing that with my kids, and then you know, My mom brought it to my attention. My mom, who
Yeah.
the person who,
Because she's soft, because she can see now.
yeah, and that's when I started to change, and I started to change the way I did things, and I saw that the kids were the future. That how you treat your kids is how you treat yourself, how you treat everyone else, and it's super important. And if the kids are traumatized from a young age, for the rest of their life, they're gonna deal with issues. Because I know I deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, every human being you see walking around right now is a direct result of how they were raised. So we can talk to teachers, we can go to workshops, you can teach me how to be a better teacher, but at the end of the day, the greatest impact is the household. And how we were raised.
Very
and so
much
that's
so.
great that you were able to see that, and then your mom can actually see the reflection of that, and now you begin to change your generation. I always tell my parents, anybody, we do not understand the magnitude of our impact directly and indirectly on the people around us, in particular our children. And some of us have emotional abuse, the yelling,
Yes.
verbal abuse,
Oh yeah.
even
Especially unnecessarily. Yeah.
non-verbal abuse, where you may not yell, but your facial expression tells your child, sit down somewhere.
Go stay
You
with
know
me.
that look.
Yeah.
You know, my grandma could give me a whipping with a look. This just a whole whipping
Right.
with a look. And sometimes that's abuse because these are children,
Yeah.
and they don't understand. And we have not been also, our culture have not been taught proper communication. We've been taught to yell, to demean,
Right.
to degrade.
Every time we hear something we don't like, we get upset. The first reaction is to get upset.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Defensive, walk out, stomp out, so we haven't been taught proper communication, and that's impacting our children. So until an adult sits down and realizes there's a healthier way, you're not a bad parent because you can only parent how you were parented, but you are a bad parent when you don't recognize at some point that you're harming and hurting and injuring and creating more trauma with your children.
The ripple effect goes on and continues.
Yeah, we can say that, but until a parent actually sits down and assesses their truth, sound like a Yana now, then it really can't change.
Exactly.
Right? So you had to sit down. Well, first of all, someone had to bring it to your attention.
Oh yeah.
Did you recognize it before your mom said it?
Yeah, I did. I recognized it, but it was at that point I was like at a younger phase of my life, so maturity level is not there.
Right.
And once I people started to speak to me, and then I started to self-reflect. I took some time. I spent a lot of time with myself, so I don't mind. A lot of people have an issue spending time with themselves.
Yes, I'm an introvert too. You would never know it, but when I'm talking about certain passion, children, education,
There you go.
healing, you'll think I'm outgoing.
Yeah.
But I'm really introvert.
Same as me. So I just found time for myself, and once I found out, reflecting on the mistakes I was making over and over, that's what made me want to make a change. So,
And
all right.
Have you seen the impact on your kids?
Oh yeah, for sure. They feel more comfortable coming around you. They want to speak to you. They'll open up and show you who they really are, and that's how you know what direction to put your kids in. What direct? Just
And embrace them more.
Embrace them more. You just
I'm
don't
just
want to make
telling,
your kid
not
a
just
doctor.
like, just physically.
Oh yeah.
Embrace them more.
Oh yeah.
Because our parents' generation was the generation of the tough love, non-embracive, very not detached.
Yeah.
And you can't blame coming out of slavery. You have to, but I hug my kids so much because that's something I always desired.
Yeah.
And I knew my parents loved me, but they were both raised in non-touchy.
For me,
A hug does.
I spent a lot of time like playing like wrestling or grabbing them, holding them. I didn't get any of that.
Right.
I didn't get to play with my parents at all. I don't remember that, to be honest. My dad for a little bit, but it was always a distance type of relationship with my mom. So
every morning when they get up, hug them for at least a minute.
okay.
Even that chest, that embrace, that chest to chest. And it may seem weird if you haven't done it, it may seem weird to them, but it does so much. It's healing. And before they go to bed, same thing. Hug them. Tell them you love them. I love you. Not love you. See, and that's another thing people do. There's a difference between love you and I love you.
Right.
When you talk to people, say love you, and I say I love you, people can't receive that because they think they have to give something in order to receive love. It's a false perception. Love should be, love is patient, kind. It's just saying, I commit to being patient and kind with you. So I love you. So I don't have to know you to say, I love you.
Exactly.
But we've created this society where it's more sexual than it is
It's very much, everything is sexual. Every single, it's
emotional, you know. And people haven't realized in 2020 that lust and love are two different things. You know, go figure that one out.
We'll
you
get
know.
that someday.
Yeah, we'll get it, but I appreciate
All
you.
right, so last message for the world. A message to give off to the world, send off to the world to make it a better place.
In a nutshell, my slogan is this: anything unaddressed will always manifest. So healing is of utmost importance if you're going to make any change in your life, because healed people heal people. If you want to heal your household, you need to be healed. If you want your children to change, don't take them and someone else pray for them. Heal. As you begin to heal and recognize the need for change within yourself, it will flood your atmosphere, but it all starts with us. Healed people, healed people. Healed parents, healed children. Healed families, heal other families. So address those things that have not been addressed. Get them from underneath the rug, whether it's generational curses, things that come down your bloodline, diseases, cancers, all of those things are generational. And when you take the time to heal yourself, not looking at anyone else, then the things around you will begin to heal also.
Cool.
Chaka Dorsine.
All right, thank you. Good job. Appreciate it. Enjoy your day.
Yes,
I appreciate
thank you.
it.
What's your name?
John.
John.
Well, call me Frank.
Frank.
Yeah.
Frank.